Zach, you can start whenever you want.
Yeah. Well, welcome you guys. It's awesome to hear from you again, Kevin, and then the rest of the team bringing them along. I'm excited to hear from you guys. So if you guys just want to go left to right with introduction, starting with Cam Fulton, and then Kevin, then Axis, then Sam. Go right ahead.
Yeah, my name is Cam Fulton. I am just heading up I guess the web dev side. So the website, the app, and basically I'm also the HR department to make sure that they don't say anything inappropriate.
Okay.
I'm Kevin. I spoke with Zach for quite a while, and I actually have a little interview with them because I love them and I love talking to them so much. Cam, he says he's just a guy, but he's really not. Cam's a huge part of our team, and I just want to put that out there. I'm the marketing director, so I'll pass it on to Joey now.
Okay, I'm Joey. I get called Access on here most of the time. For Omni, I'm doing project management. I get most of the team together, and I kind of do jack of all trades and help out where I can.
My turn?
Yep.
I'm Sam, general leadership position. I'm one of the co-founders, and I was one of the ex-founders for Highpoint, and now founder for Omni. And I'm work with these monkeys, and we're gonna do good things.
Awesome. That's great. I mean, how many other people are on your team as well? I know you mentioned you had quite a few other staff members.
I'll count right now. I'll give you an exact number.
Did you want total staff, or did you want like
Whatever you think is fit.
16.
Total staff, Joey? Yeah, 16.
16. Wow. Is that including moderators and everything?
Yep.
Gotcha. That's a massive team for the DeFi space. That's awesome. But yeah, what kind of inspired you guys to create Omniverse?
Well, okay. So we would have to go into one of our old projects to really understand that. But
Can I ask a quick question before
Yeah.
you go on, Joey?
Sure.
Zach, how vulgar can we be? Because
Oh,
sometimes we do
God.
content.
No,
Is this,
no, no
And, like,
need
is
for
this a
I
that.
don't know how
family show?
professional you want it.
Is this
No
a family
need for
show?
that.
Yeah, no, that's why. It's like sometimes we
PG
use like very
13. How about PG
okay,
13?
PG-13. Okay, Joey, yeah,
Sure.
PG-13.
Okay.
That makes my
Kevin had to
job
stop me
easier.
before I got started.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we started a project that was a fork of Titano, if you know what Titano is. So we had forked Titano, and we noticed a lot of inflationary issues that the investors don't know about. Because at face value, rebase protocols that hyperinflate to give people this image of passive income, they look great on the front end. You see all these tokens coming into your wallet, and it's great. But we noticed from the back end how like catastrophic it is, how inflationary and unsustainable those models are. So we kind of wanted to build the reverse, a token that is used in as many projects as we can dip it in, and give it as many burn mechanics as we can make.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think especially in a bear market, having a burning mechanism versus a rebasing 2% a day mechanism is definitely going to make a drastic difference on the price action. So I like that you guys are trying to fix what was wrong before and apply your knowledge and experience onto another project and make it the best thing that you possibly can. I think that's awesome.
Well, just for comparison, right? These protocols, they do like 2% a day of every wallet. That means the supply increases by 2% a day. Our token has a 2% burn built into every transaction. So just for comparison, how we'll be hyper deflating while they're hyper inflating.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess let's dive into what exactly Omniverse is and those different streams of revenue that are going to go into the token deflating and how exactly that all kind of fits into the ecosystem.
Sure,
Sure.
Kev?
Sure. Okay, I guess I'll answer, and then Sam and Cam and Joey, you guys hop in whenever you want. But
Yeah, sure.
there's three main aspects to our protocol. There's the native token that just exists, and I'm gonna try to make this as simple as possible because I feel like this isn't the place to be super techy. There's the main token that everyone can use, right? And there's two portions down the road. There's Route A and there's Route B. And unfortunately, there is only Route A and Route B because one cannot be used while the other one is. There's a whitelist marketplace that exists, and then there's the Time Vault. And Time Vault essentially is a spot where you can stake your tokens and you are locked in. You have to choose how long you want to lock in for, and however long you want to lock in for is the percentage that you get. And it varies anywhere from 1% to 200%, and it correlates with the time duration. So obviously 2 years is the longest locking duration, therefore it could be 200% on your deposit. Although these deposits sound great, there is a penalty. It's to protect all the investors. So there was an early 50% withdrawal tax. And what that means is, let's say you lock in for 6 months on one position, right? So although you can't add to your position, you can add many positions. You lock in for 6 months. Let's say you want to exit at 4 months. Unfortunately, to protect the others in the pool, there is a 50% withdrawal tax that you have to pay on your deposit and on what you've gained. On the other side, there is the whitelist marketplace. So the native token itself, right? You don't have to participate in the whitelist marketplace and you don't have to time vault. You can just keep the token, right? Ride the price appreciation. With the whitelist marketplace, what you do is you buy the token and you can trade in for any whitelisted spot that we have collaborated with. So these are communities that can be yield farms or stablecoin farms or tomb protocols, any type of protocol that exists in DeFi, whether it be NFT or a cryptocurrency, you can exchange your Omni token for a whitelisted spot. And this is all up to the discretion of the investor, right? It's however much tokens that they have, it's however many whitelists they can buy, or how many times they've chosen to lock up in the time vault. So I hope that kind of answers
Yeah.
your question.
To add on to what Kevin was saying, with Omni, if I were to summarize that, he really got into it. Okay. To summarize what he said, the goal of Omni is basically to create this token that will benefit holders who just want to buy and hold, and it'll benefit people who want utility. So, marketplace, they can diversify their portfolios. They can use their Omni, which then gets burned in the marketplace when they use it to pay. And they then get a spot for other projects. We're helping investors flow through the DeFi space. The Time Vault, they can farm for more tokens. And as time goes on, the Omni token will grow in not only value but usage as well. So there's utility for people who want a utility token, and there's price appreciation for people who want to just buy and hold.
Yeah. Did you want to keep going? Because I kind of want to jump into the deflationary mechanisms that we've kind of fixed and things that we've really tackled and what's important to us. I don't know
go
if
right
you want to
ahead.
ask another time. Sure. So typically, one of the biggest problems, and I want to relate it, I won't dish on any protocol in particular, so I will relate it back to ours and our experience, right? We were originally pegged to AVAX. So having a shared liquidity pool with AVAX was a huge problem because this asset kept going down. And if you look at what AVAX has done, it's gone all the way from 140 to 113 to $80 all the way down to $16, $18. And you're like, Kevin, how do you remember these numbers? Because I was an AVAX maxi. So you hear all the time, oh, he's a Bitcoin maximalist. I was an Avalanche maxi. I wrote it all the way up to like a solid, I think I did a good 18x on it. I never sold a single AVAX. It was at one point, even at $140, I had around, I think it was 250 AVAX. That was nuts. And there was a problem with that because our token was pegged to a liquidity pool that kept going down, meaning even though nothing happened to our price, right, directly, people didn't sell, people didn't buy, our price would continue going down because our liquidity pool kept decreasing due to AVAX. Another issue that we found was this was a hyperinflationary asset, and when I say hyper, I don't mean to say it like just for fancy vernacular. It was quite literally a very hyperinflating asset. Every single rebase or epoch, it would go down. Every single time. Maybe it wouldn't go down $1, right? It would go down a few cents. But enough epochs in a day, and you'll start seeing a huge hit on your portfolio. And what we did for Omni was we pegged to a stablecoin, right? And obviously we didn't peg to US Terra or USDT. If you know a little bit about USDT, you know that they're printing money that isn't collateralized. BUSD is, DAI is. And when we say collateralized asset, we mean there is an actual value that is backed to it. Meaning, for every 1 BUSD that you own, it's actually backed by a real US dollar, you know? BUSD is backed by Binance, which is backed by an investment bank. So every single token of Omni is actually backed by a dollar. Because the liquidity pool changes all the time, that doesn't matter because stablecoins are algorithmic. It literally burns tokens when the supply doesn't match the price and vice versa. So we fixed that issue right there. Another issue that we fixed was the hyperinflationary aspect of the protocol. We are not a rebase protocol. I want to say that right now. This was an entirely new concept. This is an entirely original concept. With the token pegging to a stablecoin, this helps us a lot because you're not going to continue going down every single second. To touch on what Joey said, with all these burn mechanisms that we have, every single time Omni is used in a transaction, whether it be buy, sell, transfer, or trading in for a whitelist marketplace, or even depositing into the time vault, 2% is burned every single time. So with 2% being burned every single time, the value continually goes up without battling inflation because there was a fixed supply, right? And we only call the resupply function if we need to.
It would be a good problem to have to need to use
A
that
great
function.
problem
That's
if we
right,
suddenly have zero supply.
If there's no more tokens in circulation, that means all the investors
Yeah.
holding Omni and the pool has been fully bought out, and that's a good problem to have. But in that case, we would then resupply more tokens into the pool. But until then, which would take a very long time, until then we would not be creating any more tokens.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just straight to be blunt, exactly what Joey just said. That's a very great problem to have if we have no more tokens because everyone's either locked in, holding it, or straight burnt it because of the whitelist market price. So, yeah, sorry for going on such a long answer, Zach. You can ask your next question.
No, that's all good. I like it. A lot of good information, and I like that you guys are very focused on problem solving, taking your last experience and then taking the issues that were present there, and then solving those issues, and then now putting out another product that just has a lot more thought and experience put behind it. And I think that is definitely crucial. A lot of people that have previously started up a project and that it didn't have a great ending, they just kind of ran away with their tail between their legs and never came back. But I like that you guys are, you have that experience behind you and that you can apply it to another scenario. So I think that's really awesome.
Well, yeah, we are creating Omni to solve a problem rather than just to make a project. It's not a for fun thing. We are creating it to do something. We have a goal in mind.
Definitely, yeah. When you deposit tokens into the time vault, how are those rewards distributed? Are those calling a mint function, or are those are like a part of the supply set aside for rewards for that time vault?
Sure. So here's how it works. The, when tokens are deposited into the vault, the contract holds them. The contract is built with a sort of intelligence to it that avoids creating new tokens at all costs, because then if it's just creating new tokens, then there's really no real money being made. So what it's doing is it's holding tokens and it's recycling tokens from all different sources and paying them out to investors. So as people go in, the people who are finishing their lockups get the tokens. On the case that there aren't enough tokens in the contract, then it will create more.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
But we kind of did a calculated risk there because yes, it would create more supply. However, with the buy and sell fee burns and the people doing early exit fees burning, it would counteract that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that with at least my knowledge so far on it, there definitely would be more burns than supply being created.
Yeah.
At least it would. I think it would look that way. I don't know. Can't say for sure, of course, but definitely seems that way. And then as far as your whitelist marketplace goes, when you when projects approach you, or maybe you approach projects to list their whitelist, is there a vetting process Like, can any project just go and list their whitelist spot, or
Sam should answer this one. Sam, you go ahead, man.
Oh man. Well, you know what? We're gonna say right off the top, any of the projects that we do decide to list, it's a do your own. You better do your own research. There's been a lot of times in the past, and not only not I'm not talking about Omni. I'm talking about um, even with Pink Sale, right? You go and you buy tokens for a pre-sale on Pink Sale, and you find out that the week after they go live, they rug, right? It's the same idea. Like we are not responsible for any of the projects that list with us. There's no vetting process. If a project is interested, they'll come to us. I mean, there may be the basic kind of if we sniff out a rat kind of thing, but there's no formal interview or vetting process that we go
Right.
through.
Well, with that being said, we do have a feature built into the marketplace that shows, and there's filters to search as well. You can choose to only
Right.
display KYC'd,
Right.
doxed, audited. So while any project can be listed, not every project can get these security tags on them without us checking them out. If they tell us that they're audited and we
Right.
take a look at the audit and we see it's legit, we post it on the marketplace. So no, there isn't a vetting process because we believe that everybody should have a free market. That's what DeFi is. But we will provide the information that investors will be able to make their own educated decisions.
gotcha. Okay, I think that's fair. And then if I am a project owner and I want to get listed on the marketplace, what does the process look like? Like, how do I reach out to you guys? How do I kind of reserve those whitelist spots, etc.?
Sure. So let's say your project has 100 whitelist spots and you want to give us 10. You would be able to come into our Discord server and open a ticket, message one of the founders directly from the server, DM us on Twitter. Although I can't guarantee how fast to get an answer for that one. But ideally, opening a ticket in our Discord, or maybe we can. This is not confirmed yet, but Cam, maybe we can put a kind of place on the website where they can sign up for it, and it'll send us an email.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was just gonna say. Yep.
Yeah, so we can have a section on the website. We'll be definitely posting up
We'll
on our
make it
Twitter and our
easy.
Discord how it'll be easy. But they would reach out and then we would just have these base questions we'd ask: how many spots do you want to give us? How much do you value your project at per spot? We'd ask for a description of the project, any security measures like audit, docs, KYC, and then we'd list them.
Gotcha. Yeah, super straightforward. And as far as the burning mechanisms go, is there any others besides the early withdrawals and the time vault, the transaction taxes, and then the marketplace?
Well, obviously there's the option to buy back and burn, but we can burn as many tokens as we want. It won't, it wouldn't benefit anybody just because we have to make sure that with us burning, there has to be enough in the liquidity pool that people can take out. Then there also has to be a reason for us to burn. It's not just like, hey guys, we're gonna give you $500 for free. I believe burning should have a purpose, but no, other than the burns that are already created into the smart contracts, every transaction, every single whitelist marketplace trade, and then one other feature that we aren't sure if we want to share yet, but
Nope.
there will. Okay, fine, I won't share, but there will be hyperburn. There will be hyperburn, so we won't need to ever touch the token supply ourselves because if we have to touch the token supply, we're just gonna mint more. That's the only reason why. So I think people should consider this a good thing that we're never ever gonna have to touch the contract that way. I hope that kind of answers your
Yeah,
question.
it's a very good problem to have if we do
Yeah.
end up needing to make more. I know there's a lot of
Yeah.
stigma around the mint function because there have been times in the past where project owners have minted more tokens and then drained the liquidity. So that is a valid concern from an investor standpoint. That being said, we're renaming the mint function. We're calling it resupply, and that will resupply to the pool rather than to a wallet we own.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. And then is there any other utilities or things that we haven't gone over? I know you guys have some things that you obviously can't talk about quite yet, but is there anything that you can?
Well,
Well, yeah, you
go
can
for
go
it.
ahead. Oh, okay, okay. Like I said, it relates back to the third function. Like we're trying to make it work where it'll hyperburn. So we already fixed the issue of not having to inflate the supply so much, right? Before it was an issue where And I believe this exists with almost every protocol that mints new supply. So Tomb, rebasing, a bunch of other ones that I can't name right now, but NFTs do it too, you know? They have a type of native token that creates, and then if you own an NFT, you get that token. So I believe we're one of the only protocols that don't have an issue with an inflating supply, so you don't need to worry about your value going down. It'll only continue going up, and I think that
Nice.
should be the focus rather than asking if we have more utility,
At,
because yeah,
at this point
like
in time, I mean, no, we've covered all the utility we have, but over time we'll be adding more. I do kind of want to incorporate some sort of way to have an NFT project, gamified NFT project, because people like that. That brings in attention. We'd be able to branch to ETH, but no, at this point in time, we have no guaranteed plans.
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
I was
I
just checking. I didn't know if we had other stuff to cover or not. So
We definitely will add more. It's more of a question of what and when.
yeah, I talked to Sam about this yesterday, right? Like, how many products can we offer before we start to become jack of all trades, master of none, you know, versus we can stay the master of two different things, which is the time vault and then the whitelist marketplace. You know, if we can really succeed in those two concepts, I feel as though we don't need to add a new utility. Because I noticed the only time utility is needed is when people ask, why is the price going down? That's the only time people like, what are you guys doing for innovation? And then you got to go call the entire team together and we're like, hey guys, price is going down. What the fuck do we do? You know? And we've seen it many times. It was Titano Play, it was QLAS from Sphere, it was the Dex from a bunch of protocols, it was a launchpad. You know, the only every time people add a new function or utility is when price is going down. So our focus is going to be on the whitelist marketplace, right? Getting huge protocols on it or really hyped ones, and then working with them to help with their marketing and encouraging people to lock into the time vault, right? Like this should be one of those non-worry investments. We want to be a low risk investment, therefore there should be no worry and
Yeah.
no need
Well,
for extra utility.
yeah. While you're
And
stressing and looking at your portfolio and you're looking at the
Yeah,
market crashing, we want to be paired to a stable sitting in the background. You have like, let's say like $1,000 locked up, and you know the rest of your 100K you're managing daily. You know, we want to be that thing in the background, and not you're a stressful investment, because we've all come from a background of stressful investments that we're sitting there watching the chart, looking it up multiple times a day, and we don't want to be that.
definitely, I was just making sure that we didn't forget anything. But I think that your utility is super unique. You know, I mean, all these projects now are coming out like they're quote unquote adding utility, and then they're saying, oh yeah, we're coming out with our own decks, but there's like 1,000 dexes coming out right now, and
yeah, no. We were one of those lab rats, like literally. Wait, were we the? You know what's funny? Our old AMA still exists on YouTube. If you guys look, I believe we're one of the first ones to say that, if I remember correctly, because Joey wanted to have a final. Okay, so I remember this where we wanted a bunch of utilities, and it all related around one native token, right? And with that native token, that would then be used on the DEX. So eventually, we'd move the liquidity off of whatever huge, which was Trader Joe. We'd move it onto our own. Therefore, we'd own our own liquidity. Therefore, we could offer the second you go on a website, you could swap all your tokens for like the 4 or 5 main tokens from 4 or 5 main protocols that we have, right? But the problem is though, is we can't do that with a rebase token. So we were like, oh fuck, you know, like I remember hitting this point of like, wait, how do we build a DEX? And then there was a million other dexes. And on top of a million other dexes, how do we do that with a rebase protocol? Like I'm not saying people can't build their decks, but the odds of everybody making an apple pie, you're gonna go try all the apple pies? I don't think so. You know, you'll try the one apple pie that you've always eaten, that your mama showed you. You know. Yeah, I
Very
don't know.
good
I think that's a
analogy.
fair analogy. I feel like that's
Yeah.
a super fair analogy.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just find it funny though. Everybody's saying, "Oh, we're adding utility," and then Titano is a great example of this. I don't mean to bash Titano, but
I do.
but
Yeah, no, 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 no.
their
Yeah.
play system and their decks is like, well, everybody's coming out with that now. Like, sure, it'll bring in some revenue, but is it going to be something that's going to resurrect the project? Probably not. But
Yeah.
interesting. I like your guys' utility. You know, and a whitelist marketplace like that doesn't exist right now, and I think it's super cool. And if you guys are the only ones that have that, then yours is going to get utilized if people are looking for that service. And versus a DEX, well, every project under the sun has a DEX. If they're looking to use a DEX, they're probably just going to use PancakeSwap, for example,
We
and they're
got
buying a
Pancake,
smart
Trader
chain.
Joe, Uniswap. Like those are the
That's
big
yeah,
three.
that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, unless they really want to support their specific project that they're in. Other than that, there's like almost no reason to use the other DEXs unless they're like have some really cool features with them. But even then, it's going to be hard to get people to get off of the mainstream DEXs.
Yeah, like what makes you better than PancakeSwap?
Exactly.
You know, and you just go and that's it. That's it.
Yep. Yeah. We got Vegan Dad 2010. He asks, "What is the benefit to a project to use your whitelist service?"
Sure. So as we add more projects to the marketplace, people will be joining our Discord server. People will be following our Twitter. The word of like Omniverse will be getting out there. Like will be known, and so going on our marketplace, having your project listed, is like free marketing. You
Yeah.
don't pay, and we don't pay. It's free marketing on both ends. We benefit because then our server grows, and more projects over time can have a bigger audience, and we increase the flow of the DeFi space. And your project benefits because all of these people that we've accumulated now hear about your project.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I think if somebody burns their Omni tokens to buy and purchase a whitelist spot, chances are they're gonna buy a pretty close to their pre-sale allocation.
Also, I just want to touch up on what Joey said. So obviously it's a hit or miss because you can be listed on our site. So I'll add on to what Sam and Joey was saying earlier. You go onto our site, right, and you'll see very four clear buttons. It'll say show all, doxed, audited, and KYC. If a protocol chooses to do none of that, that is not our fault. And because people will likely toggle KYC, docs, and audit and choose from the top that'll say, like, oh, these ones are all KYC, docs, and audit. Because how many protocols do you know that are KYC, docs, and audit? Our entire team is docs. Well, except Joey, but our entire team
Waiting for
plans
the
the
right
docs.
time, guys.
You know, yeah, okay, there you go. So eventually, our entire team plans the docs. Joey will be the last one, but Sam's docs, I'm docs, Cam's docs. Right? How many protocols plan to do KYC? How many protocols plan to do audit? So it's not up to us to tell these guys to go do that if you want a higher viewing on a website, because people are going to toggle it, and then you will move all the way down to the bottom, and you're not going to see those protocols that choose not to do those safety features for their investors. And the other thing too is a protocol can have all three, and guess what? They might not be huge, so there might be no benefit to them listing on our whitelist marketplace, right? We can't say every single protocol listed on us will blow up free marketing. So it's really a hit or miss answer with that
At
one.
the end of the day, it's if your
Mhm.
project looks appealing to
Yes.
the majority of investors, your project may appeal to, let's say, 30% of the investors, and another project may appeal to 50%. It's all what it is. It provides getting your name listed somewhere where a lot of people will be constantly checking and
Yeah.
wanting to buy in to projects. That is what we can guarantee, that we will list you, and we will try to give you free marketing. But at the end of the day, if your project does not look appealing, there's no guarantee that we will benefit you that much.
All right, yeah, I think that's a super awesome business model. It's truly just a win-win, right? There's no downside to being listed on the marketplace, and it can only help you, right?
Yeah.
I think that's super awesome. One question I had for you, it'd be a little hypothetical, I guess, but you know how you can on the marketplace toggle between docs, KYC, audited, etc. I know a lot of new people in the space. Like the next time a bull run hits, for example, we're gonna see a massive influx of new people coming in that have no idea what those are. Like, well, what is a KYC? What is an audit? What does doxed mean? Would you be open to a partnership that would link to like our education center that explains exactly what that is instead of you creating it yourself? Like maybe like a little info tab or something. Totally hypothetical, but I
I
just
can
had the
answer
thought.
this. Yeah, 100% no. Yeah, I'm kidding. No, we love to. Yeah, of course we love to work with you, right? I don't see a reason why not, where we can't make information more mainstream. Like That's something that I'm trying to do too. I'm trying to make sure that people understand what we're saying because yeah, I know it can be daunting to hop into a new space and then because it's your money, right? You're like, oh fuck, should I put it here? I don't even know if it's good or not. And people are like, yeah, trust it, trust it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it's good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a great
100%.
it's a
Yeah.
great
Okay.
suggestion too. And I mean, I would
Yeah.
just put a little blurb
Hmm.
and then read more, learn more, or whatever. And like, but
Yeah.
that's a great just point of view right there. Like, some people don't know what KYC means.
Yeah,
So,
I think that especially in your position, like you're right, it should be under each individual person's due diligence to look
mhm.
at a project to determine if it's good or not to invest in. But there's so many people out there that haven't been taught to do their own research and what to look for and whatnot. And
Absolutely.
from
Zach,
yeah, what's up?
oh, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I was gonna say like everybody says do your own research, but not everybody knows how to do that, and there's not a whole lot of great resources out there to teach you that. So I think like that's a big passion of mine with starting Cardinal House is that if we can teach everybody to do their own research, there's going to be a lot fewer people throwing money into rug pulls, right? And I think it'll just make the space a lot more legitimized than it is now.
Absolutely. We want to be able to flow information through DeFi. So if we can, again, it is up to everybody to do their own research, but if we can help them, then that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that 100% agree.
Yeah, and let me just add something too, just to give JoJo props. That video you did with Yabanks, is that how you say his name? I don't even know
Yeah,
how you say it.
yeah,
Yabanks. Yeah, that was spectacular. It was great.
yeah.
The way,
We were
just the
super
depth he
excited.
goes in. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing more of those. He posted it on his channel and it got like 3,000 views in just a few days. So I think a lot of people are finding value in that, and that really means a lot to me that people care to hear what we say and can take
Yeah, it
something
was
from
great.
it. But yeah, Peter DeVries asks, how much is a whitelist spot gonna be? I guess like, do you have a range that you're looking to, or is that completely up to the project owners themselves?
Obviously we would collaborate with them, but this one's a really tough answer because, imagine if Titano was listed on the whitelist marketplace and we only sold it for like 10 Omni tokens, which is equivalent at launch at $10, you know? And then there was another protocol was very hyped, didn't do very well, but we listed it at like 500 Omni tokens, right? Imagine the discrepancy. So this one's a little bit tough. We would obviously collaborate with we would use our own discretion to it. We would use our own judgment because we'll see how hyped the server is. We'll see how honest the team is, right? All of this plays into how high we're gonna price it or how low we'll price it. This one I can't really answer very well, to be honest.
There's no standard price if that's what you're
Yeah.
asking. It's not
No,
going to be
I
a yeah.
we would ask them what they value their project at,
Hmm.
and then we would kind of work from there. But
Hmm.
the goal from this marketplace on our end is to have tokens burned. So we would definitely, if we feel it's too low or too high, we'd adjust it.
I'd also
Gotcha.
say I'd just add in too, like Wand, right? If we got Wand, like they're so hard to come by, they don't give them out. You know how they go. So that would obviously have to be more expensive than,
Yep.
Yep,
something.
supply and demand. I mean,
Yeah,
some
exactly.
projects have
Supply and
50 whitelist spots, some have 50,000 whitelist spots, right?
exactly. Economics 101. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else that we haven't covered? Anybody wants to drop questions in the AMA questions channel? Go right ahead.
Oh, Peter DeVries just said, "Would you consider an auction?" That was on the tip of my tongue. Like,
We
there's,
did.
I
I
think,
think we did brush on the.
yeah.
I think we did brush on the possibility, but we ended
Problem
up
with
ruling it out. I don't remember why.
Yeah,
Yeah, do
it
you
was
remember? Yeah,
uh, someone who has too much money will go and smoke every single person, and
yeah. It
then the
would
other
create. It would
yeah
create like a rich get richer kind of system.
yeah, and then it's the Basie issue. You have a board 8 yard club. You walk into any NFT server, they give you a whitelisted spot right there. You get richer right there. So
I
and
would say
it,
we're
it's
talking about, we're actively discussing things. Right, guys? I mean, that would just continue to
mhm.
hone it in and find the best.
Yeah, and then fake bids too. if I really hate Cam, you know, and
Oh, yeah.
let's say I really, I really want the last spot for Fulton Finance, and Cam and Sam and I are going hard at it. I'm just gonna put 50,000 right there because I know
Yeah.
they can afford it, and then they'll be like, you know what I mean? Obviously, that might be a stupid move on my end because now I have to buy it at that price. But yeah, an auction, the biggest issue is people who already have money make more money, and I don't think that's fair to somebody who's like he has $500, right? Because what if he could turn 500 into 10,000? That's a happy guy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah, how do you guys as the team make money?
We obviously get paid from the so every single transaction, right? Mainly there's a 10% on the burns, and we're gonna be paying the team from the native token and the treasury. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And then got a good question from Kav Tomas. I think I said that
Before
right.
we move on to that, I wanted to address vegan debt. So, but to your point, you might spend 500 on a whitelist spot for a project that tanks. Well, I mean, that kind of that's out of our reach. Like I said, we are an informational service. We're a place where people can get spots. You may grind for a whitelist spot for a project that tanks. I don't really think that we can do much about that. We can give you the information. We can tell you if they're
Mhm.
KYC and docs, but at the end of the day, right? It's you may buy a project that tanks. It's
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah. I want to add 2 points to that. It's point one is how much is your time worth, right? Some of these whitelists, it's like near impossible to obtain. Like it literally is. Sometimes some of these servers go to like an NFT server might go to 90,000 members. You know how hard it is to get a whitelist there? It's literally near impossible. If you have one, you're like the holy grail in that server. So that's point one. And then point two is, you don't have to participate in the whitelist marketplace. Remember, I talked about Route A and Route B. You can lock in if you're like, you know what, I don't want to participate in this. I'm just gonna stake my tokens instead and gain a juicy APY on it. So yeah, it's not up to it's your hard-earned money. If you're unsure about buying a whitelist for a protocol that may rug you, that may give you 50x, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not for everyone. And that's what we want to make sure that everybody knows. You don't have to participate in the time vault if you're unsure, and you don't have to participate in the whitelist marketplace if you're unsure. No, it's up to you. It's your tokens. So whatever you do, it's on you.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's a good point. As long as you, I guess back to my point about the education, like as long as you equip people with the knowledge about what the heck they're doing, then I think it's fair game. And I think that's very, um, I think fair for everybody involved because ultimately it's up to them to make their own decisions and whether they buy a whitelist spot on a project that they really like but it ends up tanking or not. I mean, that's, like you said, you're an informational service. Like it's not your fault if that is listed, as long as you make that very clear. Like, we're not promoting these projects. I think that'll be um, a good overall for everybody involved.
Oh yeah, yeah. I want to touch on what you just said. We're never gonna play favorites. You know, I think it's highly immoral for us to be like, yeah, yeah, this one's really good. This, you know what I mean? Like I said, the price of the whitelist marketplace per protocol will be different. It's not all just gonna be 500 tokens each. It'll vary because it'll depend on how trustworthy the team is, how hype the protocol is, how much we believe in the project. If it's, for example, if there's 50 rebase protocols listed on our website, and then there's one that's like completely new NFT game, we're gonna value the NFT game as much higher if we think that they deserve that value. Because all the other rebase protocols, no offense, but they're all doing the same thing. Like, why would we value those 10 higher than the one? So it's like, just using intuition, and we'll obviously refer to our own judgment within the team and the team that we're working with.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then I guess this was more of a suggestion in chat from Kav Tomas. He asked, could you give a percentage of the collected Omni tokens to the project as revenue? So instead of like 100% burned, you could do 80% burned and 20% back to the project team that's listing the whitelist spots. So it's more of an incentive for them to list on the marketplace.
That's something that we considered. The main thing that we were looking at was collaborated marketing. So obviously we apply our own marketing efforts, and I know like I spoke to you, Zach, and Jojo about this, but you know it's still part of one of the things that we want to offer as a service where we can do the marketing for them, really help them grow if we believe in them, and you know again it goes back to that favorites thing, right? Because if we were to give it to every single protocol that okay, here's the
So
truth.
Kev, what he's saying, no, what
Yeah,
he's saying is, uh, he's saying, let's say we charge $10 in Omni
yeah,
and then there's 10
yeah, and then we
spots.
give money back,
So he's
but
saying
yeah.
20% of all the tokens collected are
Mhm.
then given to the project. So the what I think about that is we'd have to give it to every project, and let's say this project ends up being a rug,
Yeah, I was
then we
just
would be
leading to that.
paying
Yeah.
tokens. We would be basically paying out. We would be giving rugs more opportunity to make more money. That's the way I saw it. I saw it from a different angle. So
Same.
yes, it would be incentive for the genuine ones, but it also could be seen as an exploit to just milk more money out of investors.
Yeah. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and obviously, yeah. Oh, sorry, Zach, go ahead.
I was just gonna say gotcha. Understood.
Hmm.
But yeah, go right ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was just waiting for you. But it's also the other thing, I saw this suggestion actually in our own server. Somebody was like, "Oh, okay, well, why don't you just give it to the ones that are KYC and docs? KYC and docs doesn't matter, right? Because one, now we're already playing favoritism because we're giving money to KYC and docs protocols, and two, I don't know if they're gonna rug or not, you know? So that's the other thing too. So it goes back to that whole like favoritism thing. So for now, we're offering marketing, you know, collaborative marketing with our paid content creators, with our actual server, with our social media platforms. But in terms of giving a certain percentage of the revenue to them, we are not sure about that yet. Just because there's too much risk on our end, and there's not enough risk on their end, right? That's just how we see it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting thoughts for sure. It was just a suggestion, not like not a guy telling you how to run your protocol.
For
So
sure, for sure.
No, no, for sure. Like we always welcome suggestions because like we'll tell you like our thoughts right there. You know what Joey immediately said. What if they rug? We just gave him free money. You know, like we'll tell you off the bat what we think, and you know that's how we just go back and forth. So
yeah, fair enough for sure. Next question from XX Squeaker XX. If there was a service that helped with burning of your tokens, how would you feel about using it?
Are you so? Help me understand this question. Are you asking if another project would be able to use the Omni token for their project? Is that what you're asking?
No. So this interesting enough. There's a project that goes by UFDP that started up, and it is burns as a service. So they have, I think it's a 10% tax on each buy and sell, and those funds that are pooled up in that tax, those go towards buying and burning other protocols tokens, and everybody in the community gets to vote based on, I think, their amount of tokens that they hold, kind of like as a governance token, on which protocol that is to burn. So like if somebody really wanted that big pool of tokens to be burned, they could be like, hey guys, if you guys want a bunch of or if you want this project's treasury to go into our liquidity pool, go buy some of their tokens and use that to vote for the burn.
okay, first of all, that sounds cool as fuck, right? That sounds pretty cool.
That
Secondly,
sounds pretty cool.
yeah, secondly, this is a rich get richer thing because of hey, because you said it's governance. I thought it was a community vote. I thought it was like even if you have one token, your vote counts as one token. So the guy who has $10,000, he still counts as one vote only, not 10,000 votes. So because it's governance, it's already broken in my opinion. Just because like it goes back to that thing, the guy who has the most income, he now represents a way higher percent than the small guy who only has $50. You know, and that's a lot. Like I heard a funny statistic, and I don't know if it's true or not. And Joey and I know this, but I don't know if Sam and Cam know this, and I don't know if you know this, Zach. But the Binance CEO once said that on his platform, the average user only had $20.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true or not. But apparently he tweeted it out, and the average user, meaning you take the ones with absolute no income, right, that are actually active, accounts that are active, and you take the guys that have like a couple million, and you average it out. The average person has $20. So using just that, I don't know if it's true or not, but using that statistic itself, that just goes to show that I think Burns as a service could work, and we could definitely work with them if each vote was one vote, meaning regardless. So each wallet address was one vote. I think if one guy has 100,000 tokens, and then he has quite a bit in Omni.
Kevin,
What's up?
please move a little bit away from your microphone.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, bro. Sorry, I was leaning closer. But if one guy has quite a bit of, BAAS tokens, and he has a huge deposit in Omni, I don't see like why he wouldn't influence the vote for the every single week. I guess it's kind of like a reverse curve mechanism, right? In like the curve wars, you just set up the governance so you choose which one to burn every weekend. Yeah, this guy would be manipulating it right from the start, every single time because he has the most.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I don't think it's a perfect system,
yeah.
but it's an
I
interesting
think it could have.
concept to say the least.
Yeah. I think it could have been if it was not governance like that. Because everybody does governance the same thing. The more tokens you have, the more voting power you have. And I get it. If I'm a developer team, you're like, yeah, I wanna reward the guy who put the most money into us. But sometimes it's not about the guy that put the most money. It's about all those other supporters who only have $50 to give to you.
That's
But they
right.
gave you their $50. That's a lot to them.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
anytime there's an unequal balance of power in a community, that's a problem, I think.
Yeah, we want to avoid the rich get richer mentality. So I think we would have to discuss it, and it would definitely be situational. But to give a generic answer to the generic question, yes, we would be open to allowing the Omni token to be used for different services.
Yeah.
gotcha. But yeah, it was just I guess, a hypothetical question again. Interesting concept. It just came about, so it'll be interesting to see. They haven't even. I don't think they've done their first burn yet, so it'll be interesting to see like how popular it gets.
Can I ask a question? Do you know how much the deposited pool is every single time? So it's like, how does it work? Like, do they build up 500K and then the vote happens, or what?
Um, I don't know for sure. Maybe
Yeah, because how I
XX Squeak or XX. Maybe you know a little
yeah,
better
'cause
than
how I
I
see
do.
it is,
Oh, he.
somebody.
Should we invite
What's
him
up?
on to speak?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say maybe
honestly, I
build that
kind
up.
of want to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I invited him.
What's up, Suker?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
little muffled, but we can at least hear you.
So how it works is people that come in to use the service, they have to buy USDT, but in order for their vote to count for a protocol that gets burnt that month, they have to burn the tokens they hold of USDT.
Mm. Wait, so what's the benefit of just buying the token though? Other than setting up your portion of the
To
vote.
vote for to vote for what project gets burnt that month.
I see. Yeah. This
So if
100%
you
is a
guys
rich
want
get
to
richer
have,
thing. Yeah.
well, I mean,
Do you
I guess
Yeah, Squeaker, do you know how much the deposit is on every single protocol? Like, did they say however much it is? Like, will they deposit 50K or 100K or 500K of the pooled money? Like, do you know how much it is?
that I'm not sure about. You have to ask Cyril. I want to say it's 90% of the treasury gets used to buy back and burn the token that you're of that project, but I
Yeah.
don't want to say that's true.
Yeah, okay, because here's how I see it, because this is what we did on our protocol. So we had a liquidity pool of 300K. No, of 500K. We injected 300K into it. It did a 3x, meaning so how I see it is if you can just make back on the protocol that you originally invested in, you could definitely burn those tokens, right? If I spend 15,000 in BAAS, this is how I would rig it. If I spend 15,000 in BAAS, and let's assume that's a high vote, and I have a bunch of my other friends do like 15,000 as well, but
So
I
that's the
have
thing.
10,000 into like Omni. Like the amount that goes in, let's say 400K goes into Omni. You do way more than a 3x. You definitely make back 15K that you just burnt to BAS.
Right. That's kind
Yeah.
of the idea. You buy USDT to then
Mm-hmm.
vote for the project that your main stake is in. So, for example, if you have a bunch of Omni tokens and you
Yeah.
want the price to appreciate through burns, you and your 50 friends over to buy, say, 1 billion, 1 billion USDT, and each of you burn the 1 billion USDT, then that's 50 billion tokens you've burned to vote for your project to receive that monthly buyback and burn.
You know what it is? It's the most blatant form of market manipulation.
Okay. Let's get back to talking about Omni because we
Sorry.
all went
I'm,
on
I'm
that.
interested in this because I'm like,
Lasted
wait a
long
minute.
enough. We can talk about that later.
Okay.
Thanks for coming up
So
on stage.
Thanks,
Appreciate the
Creeker.
talk.
Yeah.
Sorry,
uh,
Zach.
All
Sorry, Zach.
good, all
I was
good.
like, yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
It's
You should
interesting.
ask me, Riga. Yeah.
continuing.
Yeah.
Will you vet projects that want to use you, or can any project list? How would Omniverse investors be protected, if at all? So, I mean, we answered this already, but to briefly summarize it, we are an informational hub. Like we put information, we tell you if they are KYC'd or doxed, and at the end of the day, you go into the community, you get a feel for it, and you decide. We can't really guarantee any project is going to be safe. If you're asking how Omniverse investors are going to be protected when simply holding Omni, that's because of our burn and price appreciation mechanisms. But if you're talking about the whitelist marketplace specifically, then that is an informational hub where you can go to expand your portfolio. It's the same thing as asking how can you be protected when grinding for a whitelist spot from another project. All we are is removing that grinding phase.
Mm-hmm.
And just to add to the whole trust thing. I mean, DeFi in general is an unregulated space, right? There's no controls, there's no regulation, and people are expecting protections. And of course, projects try to do their best to do that. Most projects, but even if you go into a regulated space in centralized banking, if you were to buy stocks, there's no guarantee that the stock price is going to go up, and there's no guarantee it's going to go down. You're taking a risk. So this is the same thing. You're doing your research. You're looking at the project. You're getting a feel for it, right? And if you're interested in it, then you invest in it. And if you don't like it, then you don't invest in that particular project. And with our service, there will be other projects listed, and on we go, right? But as far as being able to promise protection from either poor performance or rug pulls or anything like that, I don't think we can do that. I think we can give you the tools or help you as much as we can to make informed, educated decisions. But there's no way that we can ever commit to protection.
Yeah. Oh, and just a final touch. There's a lot of protocols that actually launch and do very well. Like for example, we just found out a few days ago that Caesar route. Caesar was launched for a very long time and they just ran off all of a sudden. So yeah, everybody thought they were legit. So even if a protocol didn't rug at the start, like we don't know these type of things, so we can't really protect you, right? Same way you can't protect us from listing them on our website. This is nothing we know. It's just how DeFi works. So yeah, sorry.
Another question was, will you vet projects? No, not that one. Are you worried about cheap copies? No. We want cheap copies. I think if somebody creates a project and says we're a fork of Omniverse, I'd not only be honored, but our project would then gain a lot more traction. I think
Yeah.
if people see our project as something good enough to fork and become a cheap copy, that then creates the effect of what happened with Titano. There was like in I believe almost 100 Titano forks out, but Titano was always the biggest one and
Mhm.
doing the best.
That's right. It's
And that's
flattering.
because
It's
because
flattering.
people all went to Titano after let's say they found out about Seifu first. They want to know where Seifu came from, or they want to know where Sphere came from. They go and they check out Titano, and it's the best one arguably. So
Yeah.
if there are cheap copies, that's phenomenal. That's great. That's what we want.
It's also inversely marketing, right? There's always the original that did very well. Like even way back, how did it? What was the first one that started? Ohm, right? Olympus DAO, still going strong. They were the biggest ones. They were the original. All these own forks came along, gave huge hype to Olympus. Didn't matter if all these forks came around, you know. And the funny thing is, to add on to what like Joey just said, the one that I'm most curious on would be a fork of the whitelist marketplace, right? Like I definitely want to see all these different ones come up because that would be crazy marketing for a protocol to be listed on 15 different whitelist marketplaces, but all the fork of Omniverse. I think that would be so sick to see. So yeah, we're
Yeah,
definitely
that's
excited.
another. That's another. If you're asking that
Yeah.
as if it would be a bad thing, then we can classify that as another good problem to have.
Yeah. Can you imagine like Fulton Finance on 15 different forks of
Fulton Finance.
Listen.
yeah. No, but think about how crazy of marketing that is. Zach messages me one day and I'm like, "What's up, Zach?" He's like, "Bro, there's there's this one protocol that's listed on like 10 of the same whitelist marketplace." I'll be like, "Oh, that's sick. Good for them." You know what I mean? Like, good for them. They're getting
The
their name
thing,
out there.
the goal is, while yes, we want to create a token that appreciates in value, the whitelist marketplace's goal is to help the information flow of DeFi and help investors diversify their portfolio. So if people fork us and a project gets listed on 50 marketplaces, that's great. That's then our goal is being
We
is
literally
being
did
seeded.
something. Yeah.
That's what we want.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha. Yeah. I fully agree. I think that being the original, you definitely have the first mover's advantage, and you get that. If people were to fork you, it's like, oh, I'm a fork of Omniverse, or I'm a fork of Olympus, I'm a fork of Titano, whatever it is. Like that original project just gets so much recognition for that, and while yes, there is a copycat that could be taking up some of that market share, like you're still growing the market as a whole and still getting your name out there much more than if you weren't forked. So it's definitely interesting. But we are coming up on the hour, so if you guys have any last things that we haven't touched up on that you guys like to make sure you share, maybe like the whitelist information or launch date, that would be great.
Ooh.
All right, Joey, go ahead. Let's just, you know what I mean? Just tell
Oh
them what we're
boy.
considering. We're
So
considering.
okay, we are considering. This is not completely confirmed yet. So while we are having the whitelisting process in progress, we were also thinking, we were running through a few numbers through simulations, and we came to the conclusion that if we did a fair launch and we started it with $50,000, and the pool got to 500,000, that's a 10x for early investors. And there's no inflation because of presale, because with presales you generally put a lower price that they buy it for and a higher price it is on launch. So right from launch that would create inflation. But with a fair launch, which is what we're considering, we haven't really completely delved into it or made a decision yet, and we will announce when it's decided. But with a fair launch, there's a lot more like investment multiplication factors for our investors, and that's without factoring in the burns. That's simply our project starting with 50,000, and then a lot more investors come in, and our pool goes to 500,000. That's a 10x. It goes to a million. That's a 20x. Right, and a $1 million liquidity pool, it's not crazy to achieve. I mean, that's pretty average. So it is a better opportunity for our investors if we went with this fair launch route, but it's not confirmed yet.
Yeah.
And as for launch date, we don't have one yet. We want to make sure everything is ready and secure. We'd rather take it slow and do it well rather than just pump it out, have people happy at first, and then it come crashing down for whatever reason.
Gotcha. And then the last question in chat: what marketplace can we purchase an Omniverse whitelist spot on?
Are we gonna have it on ours?
Oh, what the
Wait a
hell?
minute.
Are we
No,
the
it's
first
impossible.
whitelist?
It's
Yeah,
impossible.
yeah. Don't say stuff for that. You just gave me a heart attack. I'll be like, "What did you just say? Somebody just listed it?"
But yeah, we do have 10 whitelist spots that we're giving out for the AMA. You guys have been very generous with that, so I will get those winners announced in the chat right after we end up here. But
Yeah, I'd like to throw one more thing in. So with the whitelist, if we do end up going the fair launch route, the people who are whitelisted will be getting some sort of compensation for getting the spot. So these still have relevance.
gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, Awesome. Well, yeah, it was an absolute pleasure hearing from you guys. It's always fun to talk to people that are like-minded folk in the DeFi space. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you for
Awesome.
having us.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Zach. I had a great
Talk
time
soon,
here. Thank
okay?
you very much.
Of course, yes, we will keep in touch, and I will get those
And hey-
whitelist winners announced right after this.
You know what else you're gonna get for us, Zach?
What's that?
A spot in the next chess tournament.
Yes, yes.
This guy really
Yes.
wants to play.
We
Yeah, Zach,
will-
that's
we
why I
will make
asked.
sure.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah,
I
that's
wanna
why I
play.
asked. I'm like, yo, what's up?
We'll try to include as many people as we possibly can in the next tournament, because 16 is, we didn't know what to expect for the first
Yeah.
one, and we had so much demand from, like, everybody wants to participate. It's a fun event. Like, it's a fun time, free marketing, like, why not? So we will definitely open it up to at least 32, hopefully 64 different projects. If we can coordinate that, it's going to be a mess coordinating, but it's doable.
All right. Zach, it was
Cool.
great talking to you, all right?
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day, guys. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Awesome. See you guys.
Guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.